What genre would a ghost story be? My name is Jean. I'm an author, editor, publishing professional. I help you make your writing better. It depends. It depends on the aesthetic. It depends on the way that you use those plot elements. A plot element is not necessarily indicative of genre. You can have a lot of plot elements that overlap from one genre to another. This is why we talk about the fact that romance as a genre has a very strict structure, but you can have romantic stories in any genre you want. Lauren Oliver's Rooms was a very literary ghost story that was sold as literary horror. This is a story about a house that is haunted. The ghost lives in the walls of the rooms and watches the things play out in the characters' lives, so they are watching from the outside, but it is a ghost story. It was sold as a literary horror. That's ghosts. Charlie Holmberg's Keeper of Enchanted Rooms, the Wimol House series, this one also starts as a ghost who is living in the walls of a house, but it has much more of like a Mary Poppins kind of a vibe to it. It is set in the mid 1800s. It's kind of whimsical. It's a love story at the core of it. It is much more about like human connection with one another. It's not scary in the slightest. Lauren Oliver's was pretty creepy, but here we have ghosts, but charming and cute. And then ghosts play a pretty significant role in the Parasol Protectorate series. This is written by Gail Carriger. These books are older, but these are definitely sold as paranormal. These were part of arguably some of the most successful steampunk that ever was written. But we're in Victorian London, but we have werewolves, vampires, ghosts, all kinds of paranormal creatures, up, down, sideways, every which way. These are also very funny, but they are also pretty adult-y. There's some graphic intimacy on the page. There's a significant amount of violence. They are very complex, twisty plots. These are not light-hearted, even though they are very fun. So what genre are your ghosts? You're going to have to get feedback. You can choose words very, very carefully, the way that you describe things happening. You can choose and pay attention to the arc that your character is following and whether or not they have a happy ending, what the pinch points look like, how low they are brought, how dark and brooding the story is. And you can also choose to point your camera in one place or another. When we are talking about something that is horrific, you are often pointing the camera just away from the thing that is horrifying a little bit and always letting the scary thing be in the periphery, because the reader's imagination is almost always going to be more horrifying than whatever it is you can come up with. And so you are always increasing that sense of dread within the reader by not totally letting them look at it straight on. But if you have got more of a fantasy vibe, then you're going to talk about sort of like the way that the ghost came to be, and we're trying to solve the problem, and the ghost is going to be integral to the way that we solve that problem in some way or another. And you are really pointing the camera more on like the way that the world works and the way that we are going to use this magic and we are going to use this weird thing in order to solve our problems. And it can also just be a part of the world. And so if you have someone just like falling in love with a ghost, and we're not going to examine how that happened, and we're also not trying to scare you, then that's just paranormal, in which we have integrated these paranormal elements into an otherwise normal story. And this is where we have romances with vampires, we have romances with werewolves, right? We are just like integrating these supernatural things into something that feels very natural otherwise. And so it's a different genre.